Hi there, my name is Emily Roberts, and I will be presenting on case study 2. So, my client is currently 5 years old. This client was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder in December of 2019. He began receiving ABA therapy services back in May of 2020, so coming up on about 3 years. Their strongest form of communication is pointing slash reaching for items, and also using a communication book to request about 8 to 10 preferred items and some actions. His largest skill deficits are communication, advocating for himself, functional play skills, and also social interactions. The behavior of concern that we're going to look at today is self stimulatory behavior that looks like hip thrusting. The operational definition of this behavior is any instance where the client approaches an adult, wraps his arms around the adult's leg, and begins to thrust his hips. One instance stops after at least 2 seconds of no hip thrusting. So we are looking at an operant extinction intervention. So the operant extinction intervention, the definition is defined by Cooper and colleagues. Operant extinction is the discontinuation of reinforcement of a previously reinforced behavior, or in other words, the response is no longer produces reinforcement. So the function of the self-stimulatory behavior we have found out is attention. Every time that the client would engage in the self-stim behavior, their mother or dad would reprimand them. So an example would be them saying, "Don't do that," or "That's disgusting," or even pinch the client in some instances. So the chosen intervention is that every time that the client would engage in this self-stim behavior, the adult would not provide any attention to it. Why did we choose this intervention? This behavior intervention was chosen because we wanted to put the self-stim behavior on extinction, which again means no longer reinforcing a previously reinforced behavior, to hope that this behavior would decrease. The type of assessment that was used was the FBA, or Functional Behavior Assessment. Um, an FBA is a process of assessment designed to gain information about the relation between a person's behavior and the environment and the purpose a specific behavior serves for a person. So, after we completed the FBA, we learned that every time the caregiver would reprimand or pinch the client after they engaged in the self stim, the client would immediately go back and do the self stim again. But whenever the caregiver would not provide any attention to the behavior, the client would completely stop the behavior and redirect to something else. So we collected some baseline data during this FBA, and we found out that over the course of 3 days, the client engaged in the self-stim behavior an average of 57 times per day. So again, the function of behavior is socially mediated to gain attention from adults. So, due to the client's current skill repertoire, we did not implement any type of differential reinforcement. Why? Because the client would not understand this contingency. If the client would understand the contingency of DR, differential reinforcement, I would have chosen to complete an DRA to reinforce the alternate behavior when the client would engage in the self stim behavior in the bathroom with a blanket, yoga mat, or a pillow. Um, Before we completed the FBA on this behavior, we did attempt to put the behavior under stimulus control. So we tried to teach the client when this type of behavior would be more appropriate. So, for example, using a blanket, yoga mat, or pillow in like a private setting within like a bathroom or like a private room. So every hour, we would allow the client to go to the bathroom to engage in the self-stim behavior, but by using a blanket, yoga mat, or pillow instead of somebody's leg. The client did not understand what we were trying to get them to do, and they still continued to engage in the behavior outside of our stimulus control. Um, if the function of this behavior would have been sensory needs, our intervention would have looked a lot different. We would have used a DRO to reinforce the client engaging in any other behavior other than sensory seeking to try to decrease it. We would have used unconditioned reinforcers such as preferred edibles to reinforce when the client would engage in any other behavior. So, other examples of unconditioned reinforcers would be warmth, water, oxygen, or shelter. And these are my references. Thank you so much for joining.